Hey guys, how you doing? So here we go, here's your video. I've just watched it all the way through. I've made a few boo-boos. I keep calling nuts bolts and bolts nuts. I get them all the way wrong way around. I make a couple of errors. Have a look through the video. Watch it, learn it. Watch it a couple of times probably. And then when you come to actually fitting these Wi-Fi bits to your lights, I would advise have the video on your workbench. Do a bit of it, pause, do a bit, pause, do a bit. It's easy, you can't really go wrong. I'm going to edit it, I'm going to put some photographs in there as well to help you out through it. But hey, good luck to you. Have a good go at it. All the best. Right, video as promised. What we're going to do is we're going to convert these American DJ Tripar, the mega version, mega Tripar profile. We're going to convert these to this Wi-Fi. We're going to install Wi-Fi in these lights for you. And it's simple, a little antenna sticking out there and there's a board we've put in there with controls there. We'll explain that bit later. Loads of people have asked me about this video, so we're going to install one now and make a video. Before we start, I am not a qualified electrician, I am not an electronics engineer, alright? I'm a DJ who's pretty good with a soldering iron. It's as simple as that. These lights are out of warranty. They are about 4 or 5 years old, these ones, but so they're out of warranty. If you try this and do this on any of your lights, I personally cannot and will not be held responsible if you mess it up, if you get it wrong, if you void your warranty, if you're doing this on new lights. It's up to you. They're your lights, you're doing it. I'm not touching it, alright? So I just want to get that out in the open. A few things you'll need before we start. A couple of drill bits. 7mm, well this one is actually 6.5 millimeters, perfect, or a 7 will be fine, and a smaller one, a 3mm. So you need a couple of drill bits. Solder, obviously, soldering iron, screwdriver, and a little kit of nuts and bolts. I use these ones, I get them here in the UK from Maplin's. Any electronics shop will sell you these little kits with 3mm bolts in them. 15mm in length, or 10mm will probably do, but I use the 15mm length ones, I find them perfect. A multimeter comes in handy, I'll show you that in a wee bit. And then your boards that you're going to install. And there's the one we're going to do, or two of them we're going to do. Here's one out of the packet, there they are. We get them on eBay. They come from China or Hong Kong or somewhere, and here in the UK I pay £6 5p each. So in America that's about $10. Alright, it's as simple as that. Also can come in handy one of these little toys. And that's it. Oh yeah, and a decent pair of wire strippers, cutters. A decent nice sharp pair really, because the wires you're going to be stripping are very thin. Okay, that's that bit. Let's move the camera and let's get on with it. Okay, here we go. Now then, the first thing, like I say, I am doing this on the Mega Tripar profiles. I'm sure it'll work on any DJ lights, but this particular model, I know it works. I've got 10 of these, I've done 8, these are the last 2. First things to first, we've got to remove all these screws around here off the bezel. I use a power tool for this bit. Whoops, wrong word. I'm going to stop and start the video just to save a bit of time. Get yourself one of these, magnetic tray. They're about £3, brilliant. Keep all your screws in, look, you don't lose them, superb. Right. Keep those screws separate because they're slightly different to the others. Remove the bezel, get rid of that. Now then, on these particular lights, there is a bank of screws on this plate. If you look at them closely, there are 4 in a rectangle. Just remove those 4. Don't remove all of them because the others are holding the lenses in place. So if you do remove them all, you'll lift that plate up, the lenses will fall out, then you're up Shit's Creek. Just remove these 4 that are in a rectangle. Oops, a bit more. Again, I'm keeping these particular screws just away from the others. Now then, pardon me, we lift off this board gently because your remote control is wired in here. You can unplug that and take that earth lead out if you want. Personally, I don't. I just tip it to one side like that. This reveals this board here. Excuse me. This board here has got your LEDs on it. And this is where we're going to solder into, here. Now then, if you look, it says, let's tip it up the right way. I don't know if you can quite pick it up, but in line it says ground, 24 volts, ground, RT, BGR. In other words, blue, green, red, and VCC. The 5 volt feed that we need to operate our boards is here. Actually, sorry, let me grab that. Between this ground, which is like the inner ground, always go off these white cables. Inner ground there, VCC there. Between those 2 points is 5 volt. So ground is your negative, VCC there is positive. And I'll just get the power lead out, we'll plug it in. Be careful because obviously you're going to go with a live light now. Quick flash, it's working. Put your meter onto DC. And if you're unsure how to use a meter, because a lot of people actually get this wrong, DC is the volt with a line and 3 dots under it. Alright? Volt, line, 3 dots. That is DC current. So there we go. We're going to put it on DC. We'll leave that there. I hope the camera's picking it up. So we go on to ground and we go on to VCC. This one is actually showing there 5.08 volts. Perfect between those 2 points. Disconnect it, get the mains out of it. So now you know what you're doing. So that is where you're going to get your power from. We're going to solder into there and there. We'll do that in a bit. In the meantime, let's carry on stripping it down. Again, on this particular model, there are 6 screws here. Where's my pointer gone? 6 screws. Only remove the outer 4. Okay? The 2 centre ones, if you look at them, have got a washer on them. On this model, do not remove those because they're holding the transformer in underneath the board and we want it to stay there. So don't remove those 2, okay? Just the outer 4 you're going to remove. That board then will lift out. So let's do that. Go with a screwdriver. Again, we're keeping these 4 screws slightly separate because they're slightly different. Chuck them on the magnet. Like that. This board now, again, gently lift it out. We're not going to disconnect anything. We are just going to gently lift it up. There's your transformer lock, held in place. This one's got some tape on it for some reason. No idea why. Somebody's obviously been in this light in the past. Now then, down in the bottom here, whoops, all gets a bit tricky. It shouldn't for you, obviously. I'm moving it around so you can pick it up on the camera. Right down in the bottom there is your DMX sockets, male and female. And if you lift these cables out, look, and you see they are purely just linked together. So the next two screws we're going to take out while we're dismantling it. Let's just pop that back on top for now. Get that out of the way. Your female socket. For those of you who are not sure, just in case, and there is always somebody, female is the one with holes in it. The male got little pins sticking out of it for obvious reasons. So we're going to remove the female. So again, two screws. Let's remove them. One. I'm using this for speed. Do not, under any circumstances, use this when you're putting it back together, because you are screwing into plastic. You will split plastic, you will ruin the thing. Keep those two separate. Put it back together with a screwdriver. Right, now that is loose. We're just going to gently push that in. So, we're pushing that in. Let's just open it back up and show you. Let's get rid of that board. I don't know if you're picking this up. I'm hoping so, because I've only got one chance of getting this right. Let's move that right out of the way. It's unplugged off the board. That's okay. Right. And there is our socket. And these pins here, 2 and 3, are where we're going to solder on the DMX control from the board. Okay? As soon as I've got that out, what I do is now I'm going to drill my hole to fit my antenna. Alright, so I'm going to drill the hole to fit the antenna. The best place to drill it is right down in the bottom corner. 6.5mm or a 7mm will do. Let's just get it pretty accurate. Let's do that. I go nice and slow. And there you go. Nice clean little hole. Get rid of any flakes. Your antenna base comes like this. So let's just undo these. The returning nut and washer. Holding, there's a washer on there you've got to hold on as you get it in. This is a bit fussy. Find your hole, especially if, like me, you've got big hands. Let's cheat. We'll get hold of it. Oh, now I've lost the washer. There it is. Put the washer back on. Let's gently get hold of that because we don't want to damage the threads. Find your hole. Through it goes. Let's say I use a 6.5mm drill, which is absolutely perfect. Pop that on there. Nip that up. Always the way, when you want it, you can't find it, it's 8mm, just nip it up with some pliers. Don't go too violent with it, just tighten it up. If you've got an 8mm socket, fine. It's not a moving part, it's not going to go anywhere, don't worry about it. So you're on. And when you finish the job, obviously, your antenna just screws onto that. So we've done that bit. Now then, let's start soldering. On the outside of your plug, you will see it says 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to solder to 2 and 3. Okay? We're going to solder to 2 and 3. They are heat shrink wrapped. Great job actually for the Chinese. You don't see a lot of that in a lot of lights. We need to remove that heat shrink. What I do, I've got a little craft knife. Right, just do one at a time. Don't do them all. Just do one at a time. 2 and 3 are this side and this side. 3 is the centre one. It's as good a place as any. We'll start there. To get rid of the heat shrink, just very gently run a craft knife along it and split it. And it should, if you get it right, it takes a bit of time. It's hard to keep your blade on the thing, to be honest. But once you get it, it should just peel off. So put it on very tight. There we go, look. It should now, if I get hold of it, like so, just peel it away. There we go. You can, if you want, these wires are all joined together. There's, you know, they're glued together, if you like. You can split them further down the line like that. And there we go. First thing we're going to do is desolder that. We've got a nice hot iron. Let's just get it clean. Apply a little bit of heat. And there it goes. It pops off. Now then, only do one of these at a time. That way you can't go wrong. If you take them both off, you might end up swapping these the wrong way around. Here comes the tricky bit. When you buy these boards, sometimes they will arrive, typical of some of the Chinese manufacturers, the 4 cables here to the plug are the wrong way around, or the wrong colours. I've bought 10 of these boards now. I've been lucky. All my colour codes have been identical. They've all been the same. I've always had black, red, white, yellow. Whatever colours you've got, ignore the colours. Ignore the colours, alright? Go numbers. Postman's arrived. If you look at the board down this side, there are 4 holes there. All circles. The top one is a square. They correlate with these ones up here. They go together. And the far one is a square. So your first cable is in fact going into that pin. That doesn't matter. Your first cable is, as it says here, there's your little code. Your first cable is your 5-volt feed. So that one goes to cable number 1, in this case it's black, goes to the positive 5-volt. Cable number 2 and 3, your 2 centre ones, red and white in my case, are your DMX. Cable number 2, cable 2 from the left hand side where these boards are, where these holes are, from the left there. This one, your red, goes to pin 3 on your DMX. Your white goes to pin 2 on your DMX. And your yellow, or your number 4, go with numbers, not colours, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 is your ground for your power. So, we're doing down here now, we're at the DMX stage. Let's install this bit first. So the first thing we need to do, we've desoldered pin 3, because we've checked the number on there. That is number 3, the centre one. We've desoldered that. What we very first need to do then is we're going to now join this red wire, this pin 3 wire, with the cable that we've just desoldered. So first things first, we just need to strip a little bit of cable back, which is why you need a decent pair of strippers. Where there is about 2 or 3 millimeters showing. I'm going to take it back to about 5 or 10 mil. We're just going to very gently, if we can, just remove that outer sleeve. Not quite got it that time. There's plenty of cable on there. There we go, we've got it that time. We've now got about 10 mil showing. Hope you can see that. Now we'll do the same on this one. Bit thicker cable down here, so we're okay. Take that off. If you want to, and you're very clever and you've got some heat shrink, put your heat shrink over your cables now. Put them together. What we're going to do is we're going to just simple join, put the two cables together. Why is it when you're doing out like this your hands shake like mad? We're just going to twist them. And to get a good joint on there, a good connection, we are going to tin the cables. We'll just tin the soldering iron. Just very quickly run some solder up that cable like so. And now the first fussy bit, first awkward bit, is trying to get that somewhere. We'll add a decent dollop of solder onto our pin. Like so. Hopefully this soldering iron needs cleaning. There we go, decent bit of solder on there. So if you want to put heat shrink on, now you've got these two joined, put your heat shrink over there. Personally I don't bother, but technically you should really. Too much of that showing, so we're going to snip a little bit off. And now all we've got to do is, this is the fussy bit. Maybe if you've got a friend to help you or something, or if you've got any tape, which I have somewhere. If you're on your own, or if you've got a vise, one of these vices with the angled things on it and the crocodile clips, you could hold it in that. If not, get a quick bit of tape, whack a bit of tape over it like that, just to hold it in position. Gives me a free hand now. Now I've got to, this is the fussy bit, get these two cables up and get them on there and solder them on there. So let's try and do that. Let's get our solder. Let's put a little bit more solder on there. What a nice dollop. There we go, that should be better. Let's get our cables on there. I can't get at it at this angle. Come here, you devil. It could really do with some help here sometimes, but there we go. A nice clean joint. And if you had any heat shrink, now you would put your heat shrink up and put it over. I haven't got any, so I'm not going to bother. I have got some somewhere, but I'm doing this, trying to do it for speed for you. So there we go, pin 3 is connected. Now we repeat it on pin 2. Let's just double check on pin 2. It says there 1, 2, 3, so I know it's that one there to the right hand side. It's this one here. Let's do that. Let's remove this. So what we're doing, we are stripping this next piece of heat shrink off this light, off this connection, which is pin number 2. Again, they're awkward. Let me change glasses, if I can find the other pair. There we go. That's better, I can see what I'm doing now. It is a bit awkward, but you've got to be quite forceful, but at the same time, be gentle. We want that off there. Just got to pick away at it. But be gentle, because you, especially when you knife, you don't want to cut into that if you can avoid it. Cut into the cable. You just want to get the heat shrink. Always a pain to remove. But hopefully, I'm only going to do it once. There we go, managed to get it. There we go. Right, I've got that off. Right, let's repeat the process. Clean the tip, bit of heat, it comes off. let's strip it back a tad. I want about 5 or 10 mil showing like that. Now then, as I said before, let's take this out of the board for now. It'll only go back in the board one way round, so you're good, you know where you're going. Don't forget we're going from the left, so that's 1, 2, we want cable number 3, which in this case is white, it's going to pin number 2. Be very gentle when you're stripping these, because these wires are very thin. We'll do the same again, cross them over. We will twist them round. Solder them up. Go on, you devil, I'm missing it. There you go. Add a good bit of solder on there, so we've got a nice tight joint. Clip the end off, we only want about 5 mil, if that. Oops. There we go. The bits are falling in the light, obviously we'll give it a shake in a bit and get them out. Same procedure again. Personally, I'm just going to add a bit of tape. So I haven't got one of those multi-tool vice things with the magnifying glass and the clips on it, which in this particular piece would come in handy. Right, let's solder those cables onto that pin. There we go. A nice joint. And that's it. Again, ideally we should have heat shrink on there, but as you can see there's a massive gap between them. They're not going to go anywhere, but I would advise putting heat shrink on. You need to put it on the cables before you solder, slide it up now, put it on. They're not going to go anywhere, everything's good. Our hole is drilled down there, our antenna has already been fitted. We can now put this back. And that is it. Our DMX part of the job is fitted to the light. So we'll put our socket back into place, we'll grab our 2 screws. Like I said, we use a screwdriver to put the stuff back, not the power tool. Because this is where you will damage things if you use your power tool. Screwdriver, next screw. Kept them separate so I know I'm on the right ones. And there you go, your DMX signal is now into the light. And the beauty of it is we haven't removed anything, we've added to it. So you can still use these sockets in and out for your DMX. So if you want to, for example, Wi-Fi to this light and then come out of it with a cable up to a light that's not Wi-Fi'd, like I come out of one of these and go up to my Martin Wizard Extremes, the Extreme works perfect. The DMX signal that's come in through Wi-Fi, but it's gone out of a cable. Or you can go in and out, whatever, but you can do that. It's easy. So that bit is done. The only other bit of soldering now is on the top board, but before we do that piece, what I'm going to do is swap drills. Just swapping drills over to the 3mm drill. Let's just make that a bit longer actually. Oops. There we go. Now then, this is again a little tricky. What we're going to do now is fit the board. If you look in the bottom of the light, down here there are 4 grommets that are totally not used. I presume they've put those in for some different mountings for some lights in the future or in the past. We're going to put the board in between those. The plug end is going to go to this end where the DMX is. Alright, the plug end to the DMX, and the board will fit perfectly in there. Now then, there are 4 screw holes, 4 bolt holes. Personally, I'm lazy, I only use 2. alternate corners. Again, there's no moving parts in these. These are very, very light. They're not going to go anywhere. So the tricky bit now is just to drill these holes in the right place where you can mount them. So just gently hold it in place. The first time I did this, I made some little cardboard templates. I'll add a photo. And also I'll add the exact dimensions of one of these. If you want to make a template, put the template there, drill through it. You can do that. And I would do that right now, but I used them all. So I'm going to cheat. I am going to roughly get that in place. I don't advise you doing this. Make yourself some templates. We're just going to drill a little hole through there. There's our first hole. Let's get rid of the rubbish. What I do then is grab one of my little bolts, little nuts, pop it through that hole, pop it through that hole there. So I now know the board is roughly, oops, let's get rid of that cable. I now know the board is roughly in the right place. So let's drill another hole. Let's lift it a little bit to allow for a movement. Let's go in the alternative hole there actually. There we go. Grab another bolt, nice long one for this bit. Let's put it through, yes. So there we go, my board holes are mounted. Get rid of the bolts for now, throw them away. The other tricky bit is this. You need on the back of your board, sticking up look, is the LED and the switch. That little black thing there is your push button switch to change channel. Need a hole drilling for these two. You need a drill the same size or a bit bigger than them both. I found the same drill that I drilled through for the antenna is perfect. And this bit is, without a template, very hard to do. Watch this, I'll get it wrong. Especially on an angle when you're trying to film it. Let's put those through there. Let's put that through there. What I'm going to do is just at the side where I want the marking, I'm just going to make a little scratch mark there and a little scratch mark there. Let's just put a little arrow mark that way. There we go. I've now got a little scratch mark. I know where they're going. I can see how far in they're going, so I'm going to drill a hole there. And I'm going to drill a hole there. If your holes aren't absolutely accurate, it doesn't matter. You can make them a little bit bigger. You're underneath the light, nobody's going to see it. So, let's do one hole there. Nice and gently, perfect. And let's do one hole next to it. Let's try and get it next to it. Hopefully you can see that now. We've got two mounting holes and two holes for those. Let's get rid of that. Right. The acid test, as they say. Let's see if we've got those holes in the right place. I do recommend you make a template. I'm doing it like this because I've done quite a few now. And there we go, look, it sits flush, it sits perfect. Let's hold it in place. Protruding through the bottom there is our switch. Let's take that sticker off. That's just our channel sticker for the DMX. But there they are, they're sticking through, and there's your two bolts. These are very long ones, I'm not going to use these. Okay. Simple as that. We are nearly there. What we're going to do now is we're going to mount them. You can buy online little plastic grommets that you stick down there and these will just flop onto. I didn't know the sizes, so as I say, I went to our local electronics shop, Maplin's, and I bought a little kit, 3mm diameter by 15mm. These little bolts are perfect. What I do, again, you can do it different, but this is what I do. I put one in, I put a bolt on the inside, followed by another bolt. And the reason I do that, and I'm going to do the same on the opposite corner, a 15mm through. I'm using these double bolts as spacers because you don't want, let's just pop that on, cool, same again on here. If you look at the board when they arrive, it's very uneven. You've got all your little electronic components there. They're protruding off the board. I only want those two sticking up. So the bolts, look, I'll go into the spacers. Where you want it, ideally, you want your spacers about the same height as the bottom of the switch. And two bolts just happen to work perfectly. Okay? So, we're nearly ready to fit our board. And that is in there like that. So it sits there like that. Before now, we finally fit it. We know it fits in there. Before we finally fit it, let's go back to our antenna. There's a cable there for the antenna. Underneath, up by the top end, let's just nip these up. You will see on the bottom of the board a tiny little brass copper looking little circle there at the bottom end, away from the switch, far in. That is what your antenna snaps onto. So what we do is we just get our antenna cable, and it literally is, again, it's quite fussy because it's tiny, especially when you've got big hands. Just get it on there. There we go. It clicks into place. It's snapped on. Run. Make sure it's nice and neat underneath. That can go down. Let's just get that. Where's my alt? I can't see now. I'm in the dark. As you put it in, oh, there's a slight bend, it's still not quite there. I'm going to make that all a bit bigger again. See why I say make a template. Make a template. You'll get these holes right the first time round. There we go. And while I was doing that, it snapped off. So let's put that back on. Must get this on. It only snaps into place. Be gentle but firm. You don't want to get the shape out. You don't want to get it out of shape. Right, there we go. Spin that cable round underneath. Our board is in place. Our antenna's fitted. And now on the other side, there's our little nuts coming through. If you want to be really fussy, ideally your bolts, this is a long one, should go through. You could put them through that way so your screw head is facing here. I can't be bothered. Let's get some nuts. What I do as well is some tiny little washers. I'll just put a washer on there. There we go. And we'll do for the same at the other end. Let's find a tiny washer. Again, tiny washers, you can buy them from Maplin's. Get them at the same time. Nope. Right, got you this time. Again, back to our little socket set. I've just got a little socket set. They are, the ones I'm using are 6mm bolts, and I just literally nip them up like this. Don't go too tight. If you go too tight, you risk cracking the board on the inside. And there you go, look. I've only put 2 in. You can put all 4 in if you want. That is not going anywhere. So, our DMX is in. Our board is in. We have 2 wires to solder on. Let's start and put our light back together. We unplugged this. Again, like most things, this board will only go in one way. So let's just plug that ribbon back into the bottom. Ensure a nice tight fit, again, but firm but gentle. There we go. That's now connected. Let us put our cables into our board, because our board is about to disappear. There we go, our cable's in. Tuck away our DMX cables out of the way, neatly down the side like so. This one stays out. There's our 2 power ones. This board. So now we are back to our top board. Got our 2 cables running to the info remote, and we've got our 2 final cables to solder on. Now don't forget, cable the wire number 1 from the left hand side of the board is your positive. Once again, my supplier from Hong Kong, good man, he's sent me all identical. Mine are black, red, white, yellow. But we're going with numbers. So number 1 is your 5-volt feed. So in my case, that is the black cable. So here is our black cable. Let's add a little bit of solder to it. Let's just tin it at the end, as we say. Just tin the end of that cable, if I can get it all together, because it's so thin, like so. Now then, we're back now to the top of the board here, where we're going to solder to these. This is where we're going to find our feed. Don't forget, earlier on in the video I showed you the ground, the inner ground. There's an outer ground there. We're going to the inner ground. Go off the white cables. Ground is your negative, VCC is positive. That's where we're going to take our 5-volt feed from. So that's where we're going into first. Lovely big dollop of solder on there. Sorry America, it's solder, not solder. There's an L in it, please use the L. We are going to hold that cable on. I hope you can see this. We're going to just gently melt that solder in our cable in. There we go. That one's in. We're going to do exactly the same now to the minus. Cable number 4 on your board. Let's go to ground. We'll do exactly the same again. Let's clean that off a wee bit. Actually, but there we go. Liquefies, melts it straight in. And there we are. We're connected with our 2 cables. All there is to do now, put the light back together and test it. Let's get rid of those cables underneath. Our very first fix is putting this board back in. Be gentle, look through the holes so you can find the screw holes. And as you do so, be careful because your board might be protruding up ever so slightly. If it is, be gentle. Don't force it all the way down. Into the end, into there. So we're just rebuilding the light now. There it is. Finds the socket, nip it up. That's the bottom half of your light back together. Again, there's only one way now. These will go on all four and line up with your LEDs with your lenses. So look at your LEDs, the big white 5 eyes there, look. Line them up with your holes. Yep, it goes in like that. Let's just tuck those cables out of the way. There we go, look, straight on. I can feel that the LEDs, in fact I can see through the gap that the lenses are immediately over the LEDs, so I know I'm in the right place. 4 screws for this. Again, make sure you kept them separate and you've got the right ones. Gently knit them up. We're solid red, and as you can see the light is flashing on the DMX channel. It knows it's got no DMX. Okay, we think it's working. The only other way to test it is do another one, line it up, and let's see. Let's put this one back together. And so there it is, all back together. Let's give it a power. Plug a power cable into it. There's our power light flash. We should get a solid light now on our LED. And there it is sticking out. Hope you can see that a wee bit better. And all you've got, look, is 2 bolts, LED, and you've got access to your switch. Tell you about the switch later. Basically, every time you push it, it changes the LED colour. And what that does is different channel. So if you've got hundreds of lights set up and you want them set into different groups, like they do in theatres and on big road shows, you know, concerts and stuff, your lighting engineer will set up loads of different groups. Us mobile DJs, not many of us use different groups. Just keep them all in one colour. If you're working alongside another DJ, if there's a DJ in the next room and he's using this system, you might want to change colour. You don't want your lights going with his show. But let's leave them on red. So let's set them up and we'll show you them working. So here we are then, guys. We're ready for a test. We've got them fitted. I've done the last 2 of the lights. I showed you the one there. Let's show you it then. I use my DMX 3, mine's a version 3. What I've got is the computer linked up to my DMX there. And then what I've done here is on the table, I've just set 2 up, look. So your DMX is going in here, just into the first one. And that one, because it's receiving DMX, flashes red. Whichever one you go into, it will flash red. Okay, it should do anyway. If you've got it right, it will flash red. It's receiving a signal. If I take the DMX out, which I won't do for now because the lights will go back to what they were doing last time and go bright green or whatever. But if I take the DMX out, it'll go to a solid red. When they're receiving, and this is the second one I've just done this afternoon, they flash green. Okay? Or whatever colour channel you've got them on. I've got them on green channel. So, we're coming out of the dongle, blue cable, DMX, into that one, and all we've got to the second one is just a straight power cable, nothing else in it, look. I know they're very close together, but it's just to show you. Right, let's go on here, let's go to red, et voila. Let's move this iPad back because it's a bit awkward. In fact, we'll just move them a wee bit closer so you can see them change. Red, green, blue. I know the colours don't show up very well. Easy colour flash. A rainbow that I created, or in my DMX. I love this one when you've got loads together on the stage. A simple program called Fire, and the lights change like that. And just to show you what I've done is we've got 2 on the table there. This one on the table is the transmitter. I've set another two up here in the lounge on the floor. Again, all you've got going in, power cables. Oh, look at the state of my carpet, I must hoover. It's that damn dog. And I've set another one up over there, just with the power cable. And it's doing exactly what I want it to. Going on the fire thingy. So you can see, there you go guys, it works. I've set them up through the house, two there, one over by the door. And that's on my DMX. Wait there, I'm going to show you another little trick. Right, so what I've done now is I've removed the DMX from the light. And as you can see, it's now solid red. So they're not getting any DMX whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is on the mode switch, I'm going to come out of DMX. And let's go to auto fade, for example. See, it's now transmitting again because it's now got a program. So the DMX in the light, or the program built into the light on this one, auto fade and music, is transmitting to all the other lights. So effectively, these lights now are on standalone mode. And yes, it's going through the house. They're all working on standalone mode. You can't quite see them changing colour there, but they are changing colour, green, blue. They're going slowly through it, and so is the one in the corner over there. So even on standalone mode, without a DMX controller, without my DMX software, you can fit these and they will transmit and they will tell each other what to do. Okay, that's how good they are. Cheers guys.